Did you know that you have a relationship with yourself? I honestly hadn't thought about it before I started meeting with my therapist and a coach. And when I started working on my relationship with me, it changed everything. Absolutely everything. And I now recognize the importance of doing this work. And I can't wait to share it with you today. For those of you that are new here, hi, I'm Camille. I'm a mom. I'm the wife to Jared. I'm a certified mindset coach. And I run this YouTube channel with my husband, Jared, which if you haven't subscribed yet, please click the red button below so that you don't miss another video. But over the years, as I have worked with a lot of women and coached a lot of different women, the first place that I always start when I first start working with someone or coaching them is by having them look at the relationship that they have with themselves. And have you ever really thought about that? Like about this relationship that you have with you? Most people haven't, especially moms. So let's deep dive. What is a relationship? And when you break it down simple, it's just the way that two or more ideas or two objects or two people are connected and how they think about each other and how they behave and act towards each other. And so our lives are made up of all these relationships or all these connections. We have relationships with everyone and everything around us. So I want you to just take a minute and I want you to think about the relationships that you have in your life. We work really hard on these relationships, and maybe it's your marriage or the relationship that you have with a partner, and it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes commitment. Trust is a lot, right? That's an important relationship. We work hard on the relationship that we have with our kids. We try to connect with them, we try to show up for them, we just try to raise them in the best way that we know how, and sometimes we're winging it, and it's okay. We have a relationship with God or a higher power, and we're finding ways that we can connect with Him or work on that relationship. We have connections with our friends, with our coworkers, with our siblings, with our parents. We even have a relationship with money, with food, and there even is a relationship that you have with time. Isn't that crazy? And so we're constantly juggling all of these relationships, but we often neglect the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so whether you like it or not, this relationship is important. It's also a lifelong commitment. It's the longest relationship that you will ever have. Isn't that fascinating? And I believe that it's the most important relationship that you'll ever have in your life. So it started from the time you were conceived and will go until you take your last breath. So my question for you is, how is this relationship going? How is it? How is that connection with yourself? And what's fascinating is that this relationship that you have with yourself impacts everything else in your life. Your marriage, your family, your job, anxiety, self-esteem, how you take care of your physical body, whether or not you can lose weight, confidence, the choices you make, literally everything. You are most likely in the place that you are in your life because of the relationship that you have with you. Let me repeat that because it's huge. You are most likely in the place that you are because of the relationship that you have with you. And if you don't have this relationship right, all your other relationships will suffer. Isn't that crazy? So how do you start working on this relationship with yourself? I want to share with you today 4 questions that you can ask yourself that will help you either start having a relationship with yourself or strengthening it and making it better. So you ready? Let's dive in. The first question to ask yourself or to think about is, do you really know yourself? Do I know me? This might sound funny, but honestly, it was something that I had to work on. And I want you to take a minute and think about the closest relationships and the closest connections that you have in your life. You know a lot about that person, right? You know their likes, their dislikes. You know things about them that nobody else does. You maybe even know what to say or do that will push their buttons, which can be good or can be bad, right? So, do you have that relationship with yourself where you know your likes, your dislikes, the things that are most important to you, your passions, your strengths, your goals, your fears? I want you to take some time to really think about this. Maybe write it down in a journal or even the notes app on your phone, or just even take a minute to think about it. Get to know yourself. One of my favorite movies of all time is Runaway Bride. Those 90s rom-coms, like they are solving all the world's problems. But I want to share just kind of the story behind Runaway Bride. So in this story, the main character, her name's Maggie, she dates a lot of men and she gets so far in the relationship that they usually make it to the wedding day, and each time she leaves her fiance right as they're about to walk down the aisle. And so there's a news reporter that's writing a story about Maggie and her track record of being this runaway bride. And this newspaper reporter observes that in each relationship, she just becomes the type of person that guy wants her to be. And the reporter tells Maggie, you don't even know what kind of eggs you like. Because Maggie just always says that she likes the kind of eggs that the guy she's dating likes. And so there's this scene in the movie where Maggie makes eggs like 12 different ways. And she goes on this quest to find out who she is, what it is that she wants, and what kind of eggs she likes. I think sometimes as moms and as women, we lose ourselves in everything else and in everyone else. But it's crucial that we know ourselves as well as we know everybody else around us. And it's crucial that we invest as much time and as much love as we do into everyone else that we spend so much time serving and taking care of. It's important that we know what kind of eggs we like and to make sure that we take the time to make those eggs for ourselves. Am I right? We're gonna move on to the second question. Number 2 is, do you prioritize time with you? That means you are taking time not only to spend on yourself, but to spend with yourself. And I think so many times as moms, we put our needs very last. And that includes doing things that are even good for us, that are the best thing we can do for ourselves. And so taking care of us, finding quiet time to rest, read, or exercise, we often don't make it a priority. It gets put on the back burner. I want you to think about all the appointments that you usually put in your calendar. Usually it's appointments for the dentist or the doctor, or to take your kid to therapy, or to take them to soccer practice, or whatever it is. We put all these appointments in our calendar and then we plan our whole day around them. What if we started making appointments for ourselves? What if we prioritize that time for ourselves like we do those appointments on our calendar? It's something that needs to happen, and it's something that needs to be a non-negotiable, whatever that needs to look like. Put that time for yourself in your calendar and plan the rest of your day around it. Now, I've worked with a lot of moms, and usually they will say, but I don't have time for that. I have a newborn, or my husband's job is really demanding, or I'm a single mom, or my kids' schedules are just so intense and so crazy, or like insert whatever reason you want. Usually most moms do. I'm not saying you have to spend hours and hours on yourself. Even 5 to 10 minutes would be a game changer. It might be 10 minutes before your kids wake up. It might be 10 minutes before your kids go to bed. But if you can't even find 10 minutes for yourself, there are other things we need to look at and other things that we need to be honest with ourselves about, like maybe how we're spending our time. My goal is to help you prioritize those few minutes and spend them doing something on yourself or with yourself that will help you in the long run. So now we're on to the third question. Here's the third question to think about. How do you treat yourself? Do you remember the golden rule that you learned as a kid? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So this is kind of a version of that. Do unto you how you would have others do unto you. Basically, you need to treat yourself the way you want other people to treat you. And treat yourself maybe the way you want a friend to treat you. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to hold space for yourself, especially on those hard days. You have to give yourself grace. Be gentle with yourself like you are with your kids. You have to validate your feelings in both the good and the bad times, because we're going to have a good mix of those, right? You have to model how you want your kids to treat themselves when they're adults, especially your daughters. I want my daughters to love themselves so fiercely that they take care of themselves physically, mentally, spiritually, and it comes from a place of love. And if I want that for them, I need to show them how to do it, not just tell them. If your daughter treated herself the way you treat yourself, how would you feel about that? Is that really what you want for her? That's why it's so important that we do this work on ourselves first. Okay, here's the last question. Question number 4. Are you grateful for you? Are you grateful for this body that you have? Are you grateful for this beautiful life that you are living? I remember once when I was a little girl, I heard somebody mention at church, what if when you woke up in the morning, all that you had in your life were the things that you expressed gratitude for in your prayer the night before? And it was so eye-opening to me. If everything was taken that I didn't express gratitude for, what would I be left with? Not much. So since then, I've really tried to be intentional with expressing the things that I'm grateful for, whether it's in prayer or in a journal, or even just saying some things in my head to remind myself how grateful I am. There is so much research around the practice of gratitude. It can shift everything. It can shift your mindset. It can shift your attitude. It can shift your spirit, your happiness, your focus. It can completely shift your life. So change your attitude. Start focusing on things that you're grateful for and watch what happens. Okay, let's review these 4 questions to ask yourself as you get started on working on this relationship with you. So number 1 was, do I really know myself? And what can I do to get to know myself better? Number 2 is, do I make time for me a priority? And do I schedule it like an appointment on my calendar? How can I work on this? Okay, number 3, do I treat myself the way I want others to treat me, or treat myself the way I would expect a friend or even a mom to treat me? And then number 4 is, am I grateful for me? Now I know that's a lot, and I want you to know that this isn't a work that is just one and done. I wish you could sit here and run through these 4 questions, answer them, and be finished, but no, it's something you have to do for the rest of your life. This relationship is ongoing. It's constantly changing and evolving. It's like building muscles on your body. One really hard workout at the gym isn't going to change anything, but it's the consistency and working out that makes the gradual change. It's something that you have to do little by little, day by day, step by step, choice by choice. If you want some help doing this work, I open up my group coaching program 4 times a year. I have this 8-week coaching program with just this community of amazing women, and we work on ourselves, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we do it with a small group of women who become your people, your community and your support group, and they just cheer you on. So if you want to join this group, head over to mtfchallenge.com. You can learn more there. You'll know when a next coaching session opens. You can save your spot. So I'll put the link in the description below if you want to check that out. This is obviously something that's near and dear to my heart, and a journey that I had to go on. If you want to learn more about my story and my journey with this, you can check that out right here. But thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.